Does your dog constantly pull on the leash while you're walking them? Do they lash out at other dogs? Well, don't stress too much.
Samantha is here from the Humane Society of Southern Arizona to give us the leash training 411.
Sweet.
Sweet. Okay, I feel like, I mean, I have never had a pet. I've never trained a pet on leash training, but I feel like it should be almost like not human nature, but like dog nature for them.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, it is. Most dogs, and if you don't train them early, don't know how to walk on a leash. It might seem like, oh, just, you know, put a leash on them, put a collar, we're good to go, let's walk. But then you have dogs that are pulling a lot, and then you have dogs that are choking themselves because they're pulling so hard. So these are all things that you want to train out of your dog at an early age, and if not, use positive reinforcement later on in life.
Because my dog pulls on that leash like it is his job. Yeah. What is maybe the first step in trying to teach them not to pull?
So what I like to do is I like to use a harness or a gentle leader, which goes over their nose. I'm sure you guys have seen those before. And what it does is it trains your pet to know that pulling is not good for them. And also the reason why I like harnesses is because instead of pulling on their esophagus, it'll be pulling on their chest instead. And so of course there is some argument on whether or not it reinforces dogs to pull, because, you know, like huskies are sled dogs and they pull and they have harnesses.
Right.
So I would do just kind of a trial with your dog to see what works better, whether it be a gentle leader or a harness, really.
Okay, and then what do you do after that? So we've got our dog suited up.
Okay, so let's take Sophie, for example.
Okay.
She's suited up with her collar and harness. Make sure, I always recommend that you use a leash that is no more than 6 feet long, because that is about standard in Arizona, because it gives you good control over your pet.
Okay.
Also, I don't recommend shock collars. I don't recommend prong collars, because the pain isn't going to be positive for your pet, so they're not going to associate it with something fun. Always keep your pet on the right side, and the reason for that is because if you're walking near traffic, cars, you're going to want to make sure that you can protect your dog, or if there's other dogs by, you have control over them to pull them. Okay. So I'm going to do a little walk through, and Sophie is my model, and as you can see, she walks really well, and she's always on my right hand side. And when you're first starting out, always use lots of treats. Give your pup treats so they know that what they're doing is the correct thing. So Sophie is doing an excellent job, and she doesn't have to have a harness or a gentle leader because she's already really well trained.
And look at her, she was like, where's my treat?
I know, like, she was waiting for it.
I just did what you told me to do, where's my treat?
Exactly, and Sophie, yeah, she's a sweetheart. She is 2 years old, and she was brought to the Humane Society because there was several dogs in her family and they weren't getting along, so Sophie had to be the one to go. So she is now at the shelter, and she's been waiting there a while, and as you can see, her face is a little funny. However, I definitely think it gives her character, and it's a birth defect. So she's beautiful in her own way.
Yeah, she is.
Definitely is. Okay, so we're talking about walking our pets.
Yeah.
What are the best times of day to walk our pets, and is there anywhere we shouldn't be walking them?
Yeah, great question. So I always recommend that you're walking your pets early in the morning or later on at night, because if you're walking in the middle of the day, you're going to burn your pet's paws, because they can actually get burnt on their paws, especially in Tucson.
I mean, we have to remember they're not wearing shoes.
No, they're not. But you can buy shoes for your pet.
Can you really?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, and are you like, not an advocate of those, but do you like those for
I
dogs?
think they're adorable. I think they're super cute. They're little dog booties, and you can wear them in snow or in heat. And I was on Tumblr, and there was this little Frenchie that had a pair of Nikes that were matching her owner, which was the cutest thing ever. I should have sent in the photo. But dog booties are a great investment. We do sell them at the Humane Society at our Posh stores, tax-free. They start at $14 to $24, so it's a great investment if you have to walk your dog in the middle of the day. However, I recommend that you keep them home, walk early mornings or later on at night. And I will say early mornings more so than night, because there's lots of critters out at night.
Yes, and speaking of critters, what if we have a dog that while we're walking loves to stop and smell everything? How do you break them of that without tugging all the time?
I would always make sure that you plan enough time to walk your dog instead of pulling them along, and then always coerce them with treats or things that they really like. Oh, there's the dog booties.
Oh my gosh. See, they just like, I feel like these dogs are just so uncomfortable. Like,
they'll get used to them. They will,
especially.
Yeah, they'll get used to them, and then they'll be walking and they'll prance. It's pretty cute.
Those poor dogs.
And they look adorable, don't they?
Look at this one. Oh my gosh.
I guess I could get used to how they look, but knowing that my puppy's paws are protected. A puppy's paws are protected.
Yeah.
That's some good alliteration for
It's true, though.
These dogs are crazy.
That is hilarious. Thank you for finding that little video.
Yes.
Now, and the plant life in Arizona, is there anything that we need to make sure that our dogs are really staying away from?
Yes. So when you're walking in a neighborhood, if your neighborhood happens to have grass, like the neighborhood I grew up in, make sure you steer clear of the grass just because there could be pesticides in the manure, pesticides in the grass, and it's really bad for your dog, especially if they're sniffing around, they're going to inhale all of that. And so the best way to keep your pet safe is to make sure that you're steering clear of grass. And I also want to say, my mom always says, make sure that you carry extra bags with you and pick up after your dog's poop.
Yes.
Which is another thing too.
You know what I have noticed, especially around Lake Sabino Canyon, there's a lot of people that do not pick up after their dogs.
Right, so it's courtesy. Carry extra baggies with you. You can recycle grocery bags and just scoop it up. So that's for my mom. She's always telling me to tell
I
you
hope
guys.
she's watching right now.
Call. Any specials at the Humane Society?
We don't have any specials going on right now. However, we do have a vaccination clinic going on this weekend at our new property on Roger Road. You can look that up. More information is at hssaz.org.
Excellent. Sam, thank you so much.
Thanks,
It's
ladies.
always such a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it. Thank you.
And if you'd like to open your home to any type of pet, pay the Humane Society a visit. They're located on Kelvin, northwest of Country Club and Fort Lowell. They're open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 6 and Sundays noon to 5. If you want to call ahead, their number is 327-6088.
And coming up on the Morning Blend, we'll give you some easy summer living tips.
Plus, he's the doc that can correct your spine and leave you pain-free. And we will talk to him right after this.